In this video, we want to take a look at how to configure VLANs, and this is a bit of a review from your CCNA studies, but let's make sure that we're solid on these fundamentals before we go any deeper. First, here on switch SW1, let's see what VLANs exist right now. And by the way, before this video, I went in and cleared out any other VLANs that I might have created, meaning that we should be back to the factory defaults now. Let's do a show VLAN brief. And we can see that I've got this one main VLAN to which all of my ports belong. And by the way, we also have some VLANs for FDDI and token ring, and these get created by default. And we will rarely and probably never use these, and we can safely ignore these for our switch studies. Let's focus on this VLAN, VLAN 1. Right now, all of our ports belong to VLAN 1. Let's create a new VLAN. Let's create a VLAN for accounting, and let's create another VLAN for sales. Let's go into global configuration mode, and we can say VLAN, and let's give some context-sensitive help. This shows us the valid range of VLAN numbers that we can assign. We can say VLAN 1 all the way through VLAN 4094. Now let's create VLAN 100. And this takes us into VLAN configuration mode. And it's from here where we can assign, and this is optional, but I like to assign a name to the VLAN. That way, when I'm looking at the output of my show VLAN brief command, I'm going to be able to see what is the purpose in life for this VLAN. I'm going to say name, and I'll just abbreviate accounting. Let's create another VLAN for sales. I'll make this VLAN 200, and I'll give it a name of sales. And we've now created a couple of VLANs. We can confirm that with another show VLAN brief command. You see that we now have an accounting VLAN and a sales VLAN, but we don't have any ports that belong to these VLANs. Let's see how to do that. How do we populate our VLANs with ports? Let's go back into global configuration mode, and I want to go into interface fast Ethernet 1/0/1, and I want to make this port a member of the accounting VLAN. To do that, I give the command switch port access VLAN, and then I give the VLAN identifier, which we said was 100 for accounting. We'll enter 100. And this process could be a bit time consuming if I had to go into each interface individually and say, you belong to this VLAN, you belong to this VLAN. What if we did this? If I've got a range of ports that all belong to the same VLAN, I don't have to configure those ports one at a time. I can go into interface range configuration mode, and a command that I give in interface range configuration mode applies to all of the ports in that range. For example, let's go into interface range configuration mode for fast Ethernet 1/0/5 all the way through 8. Notice my command prompt is now in interface range configuration mode. Now when I say switch port access VLAN, and we'll make this 200, we'll put these in the sales VLAN. When I give that command, it puts fast Ethernet 1/0/5, 1/0/6/7/8. It puts all of those ports into VLAN 200. Let's confirm that. Let's do a show VLAN brief again. And now we see that the accounting VLAN has been populated with one port, and the sales VLAN has been populated with all the ports in this range. We've now seen how to create VLANs and how to add ports or a group of ports, a range of ports to a VLAN. But what if we want to delete a VLAN? Well, just like we created a VLAN by saying VLAN and giving a number, we could get rid of a VLAN by negating that command. We could say no VLAN 100, and that would take VLAN 100 away. However, there's a word of caution here. If we delete a VLAN that contains a port, that port does not go back to VLAN 1. That port becomes a port without a VLAN. It's unusable at that time. Let me prove this to you. Notice right now that the accounting VLAN contains one port, fast Ethernet 1/0/1. But check this out. I'm going to go in and say no VLAN 100. I'm going to get rid of that VLAN. What do you think happened to fast Ethernet 1/0/1? Let's see. Let's do a show VLAN brief again. And look as hard as you want, and you're not going to find fast Ethernet 1/0/1. It is not assigned to any VLAN. It is currently not going to be passing any data. That means our best practice recommendation is, before deleting a VLAN, reassign all of the ports belonging to that VLAN. And if I want to recover fast Ethernet 1/0/1, I can simply go into that interface and reassign it. Let's do that. Let's go into interface fast Ethernet 1/0/1, and we'll say switch port access VLAN 1. We'll put it back where it was to begin with, and we'll do a show VLAN brief to make sure that it truly is back there. Deep sigh of relief. Fast Ethernet 1/0/1 is back. Now, we were talking about deleting VLANs. And I was saying that we could negate that VLAN command. We could say no VLAN and give a number. However, let's say that we wanted to put a switch back to its factory default configuration. We know that we could give a write erase command, and by pressing enter, and I'm not going to press enter now, but by pressing enter, that would erase the non-volatile RAM, the NVRAM that contains the startup file that we use when the switch boots up. That's the way we might do it on a router. That's the way that we can do it on a switch. However, just by doing a write erase, just by wiping out the startup config file, does not get rid of your VLANs. You might be surprised that you've got all these VLANs created on a switch and you've been using it in a test environment and you're about to put it into production. You wipe out the startup config, you reboot it, expecting to see a nice, clean, fresh, out-of-the-box configuration, and you've got all these VLANs that still live there. What's up with that? Well, interestingly, the VLAN configuration lives in a separate file. It lives in its own VLAN database. Let me show it to you. It lives in the flash of our switch. I can do a show flash and see this file right here, VLAN.dat. If we truly wanted to wipe this switch out, we would do a write erase, and then we would do a delete /VLAN.dat. That would get rid of our VLAN database. That's something to watch out for if you want to completely wipe out a switch's configuration.